The Floating Palace. One night, Akbar dreamt of a floating palace studded with gemstones. Next day, in the court, he narrated the dream to all his courtiers. He could not forget the dream. Then he thought of playing a prank on his courtiers. He said, "I will give 20 sacks of gold coins to anyone who builds the floating palace for me." All the courtiers were quiet. For the rest of the day, Akbar kept asking his courtiers about whether they would build the palace for him. But everyone was silent. Next day, Birbal rushed into the court and cried, "Your Majesty, I dreamt that I had lots of money, but someone stole it. I am ruined." Akbar said, "It was just a dream, Birbal." Birbal said, "Your Majesty, if your floating palace is real, my money is real too. The thief should be caught." Akbar laughed heartily and rewarded Birbal with gold coins. The Lazy Servant. One day, Akbar and Birbal were walking in the royal garden, discussing an important issue. Just then, Akbar said, "See how lazy that servant is. He has been resting under the tree since the time we came here. I will throw him out." Birbal said, "Please have patience, Your Majesty. I shall turn him into a hard-working person." Akbar agreed. Birbal walked to the resting servant and said something. The servant got up and started watering the plants. That day onwards, Akbar never saw the servant resting. Many days later, Akbar asked Birbal, "What did you tell that lazy servant? He works so hard nowadays." Birbal said, "Your Majesty, I told him that you had asked me to promote hard-working servants to the post of royal guards. He is always working hard, as he wants to get promoted first." Akbar laughed and said, "Birbal, you are indeed intelligent." The Old Man's Gold. One day, an old man came to see Akbar. He said, "Your Majesty, my son and daughter-in-law have thrown me out of the house. What shall I do now?" Birbal said, "Your Majesty, I have a plan." Birbal took the old man with him and told him his plan. Then he said, "Go home and try it. See you." After a few days, the old man went to Akbar and said, Your Majesty, I am happy now. My children take good care of me after I have followed Birbal's advice. Akbar asked Birbal, "What was your advice?" "I gave the old man a box of gold coins." Birbal replied, "I asked him to count them when his son and daughter-in-law were looking. He returned my gold coins, but his children think he is rich. They will serve him throughout his life, since they are greedy for his gold." "Birbal, you are great," said Akbar. The dead sheep and the broken wall. Once, a shepherd and his neighbor came to Akbar's court to resolve their fight. The shepherd said, "Your Majesty, my neighbor's wall fell and my sheep died under it. My neighbor is not paying me for the loss." The neighbor said, "Your Majesty, it's the mason's fault. He did not use quality material to make the wall." The mason was called to the court. He said, "The laborer mixed extra water to the lime. I'm not to blame." When the laborer was questioned, he said, "Your Majesty, the waterman poured more water into the dish." The waterman was called to the court. He said, "The utensil from which I poured the water was really huge, Your Majesty." Birbal asked, "Where did you get the utensil?" The waterman said, "The shepherd gave it to me." Birbal said to the shepherd, "You lost your sheep because of your fault." The shepherd left the court without a word. Thanks for watching. Do like, share, subscribe to Sahil Book House.